April 13th, 2021. Please stand for a moment. Thank you. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Yeah. Roll call, trustee Sheets. Here. Trustee Hunter here, trustee Good. Here. And we do not have any minutes to approve. I will make a motion to pay our expenditures. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
Yes.
And we will move on to our visitors. I'm assuming, are you Michael McKinley?
Yes, thank you. Good to be here. I'm with the kayaking group, talking about the opportunity. I've seen it.
If you would like to come up here to the podium,
Okay.
that would be great. We can hear you better.
Documents for everybody. I've working with a kayaking group for about 5 years or so, and last year, during COVID, I was going to have an event downtown that Columbus Audubon, and because of COVID, arrangements were made with the city, arrangements were made with Metro Parks, and everything got canceled, of course. But what I kind of came up with, because I still wanted to have the event, was rather than a different way of still picking up along rivers and creeks, which was essentially using the same product a lot of people see around different parks, and essentially just changing the signage. Using what we call like a boat bag station. You see dog bag stations at every park. And I've been talking with Metro Parks, by State University, and the response has been fairly overwhelming. So like, well, okay, I guess this is something maybe I'll start to see about other people getting to know it. So one of the things that I found out as I've been doing this is kayakers, like anybody else, one thing that look for a lot of kayakers will do this, as we go out, they go out on the rivers, whatever, and it's kind of a common practice, basically. It's kind of an implied thing that a lot of kayakers would just do, hey, they just do it without thinking. And as I've been trying to do a little research, just make sure that that's something that a lot of kayakers do. And I've been in contact with a lot of Facebook groups and things like that. And pretty much what I found out is that, yeah, it's pretty much something that, that kayakers pretty much do like all the time. So,
Have you been in contact with like our park?
Like Metro Parks has said that they are willing to commit some money to it. As we said that, I'm sure I got a message from the park manager at Columbus Audubon. I decided to go ahead and volunteer at Metro Parks as well. Some of the members would volunteer at Metro Parks. But they decided that, I'm not sure when they're going to make an installation, but they have said that, I think his name is Dana White, he's the park manager at Columbus Audubon. She said that they're going to probably commit some money to it. The one thing just look for is, just seeing, that it would be something that really any city or, may want to put a small amount of resources to it, because it would go it would go a long way. But the only requirement would be, somewhere, a few $100s, and, just maintaining it over time with some bags, and that's just about all. So
Do you have a group that has formed that goes around and started doing this?
um,
Is this something you're just starting, or you're,
it's something that to some extent I've fallen into just because I lead kayak outings. I have an online kayaking group, and I have a kayaking club. I was maybe like 800 members or something like that. So we do, one of our biggest events is we go downtown on the side of the downtown and for a red light bill. So there's maybe usually 20, 30 people there. But as far as related to, doing cleanups and creek cleanups, some kayakers will do it, as an organized group. But of course, COVID has been a challenge for getting together in groups anyway. So the amount of events that we've had last year, nearly all of them were canceled. And this is kind of a way around, to some extent, a way around COVID. Something that I thought was kind of interesting. So I have to see, it was, for example, city of Arlington, they had like a creek cleanup going on like last summer, and so it was a general event, and it was canceled because of COVID. Regardless of COVID or weather, this is a great alternative to creek cleanups. I've organized several creek cleanups, and even if they're very, very well organized event, if there's a chance of thunderstorm, everything gets called off. So it's a great alternative. It's inexpensive, incredibly inexpensive, and for the most part, most parks and recreation places are extremely familiar with how to use them. It's just a slightly different way of looking at something you've been seeing for years. So can't breathe in the same. So
how big are those bags?
what I've seen seems to be the most recommended is a size bag that doesn't come in rolls, but they call them a header bag. So instead of being on a roll, it's got like you sort of like you pull it one at a time, and those seem to be the bigger bags. Yeah, pretty similar to that. Yep. Yep, and it's similar to grocery store in terms of concept of self-serve bags. It's like, okay, so I think somewhere on there that's a picture, like on the second page, where you see a girl in a red shirt, kind of just kind of gives you a sense of the difference, where you got the old style dog bag station, and they just change the sign, and maybe just do a little spray paint on top of everything that also refers to dogs. And there's your device. So, it's a thing. They're readily available commercially, and so is the. I'm not going to endorse any particular company, but I can give you information on which ones will sell these header style bags. And there's they're more for large dogs, but that product is pretty applicable for this too, because those kinds of bags for the most part are meant to hold something that smells, which is not unlike wet garbage in the river, and they're basically leak proof for the most part. which is, ideal for, kind of sneaky garbage too. So it's like, last year, I went to 3 different events. One at, in Gahanna, one on the Ohio River, and then one also up near Mount Vernon, with 3 different other volunteers. And pretty much everybody said, this seems like it would be a good idea. So it'd be an inexpensive way to do the same thing that they would do, but it's not really dependent on weather. And that can be, regardless of COVID, that could be one of the biggest problems with the well-organized, water cleanup event. It's like, oh, well, there's thunderstorms. Sorry, we can't have it. Even this weather thunderstorms. No, sorry, we can't have a water cleanup event. Plus, water cleanup events can be kind of expensive.
And are there bigger trash cans for them to put the trash in, or what, how do they dispose of it? Once they collect it?
What I've seen be, I would talk with a lot of people, what they've kind of said is, it would be helpful, especially if it's along big and little Darby creeks, to maybe know where the garbage cans are at. So if there is a small brochure, that just kind of stuck along the pole that says, these are the garbage cans along the way, then that would make it useful.
Have you checked with Trapper John about partnering with them?
Sort of, I talked with him and he's like, I'm not sure. That's their call.
Uh-huh.
But, that's a commercial entity. So it's like, well, who knows? But, for the most part, and I currently work at Ohio Wesleyan University, and they happen to have a device there, which is applicable for like little runner creeks. But this is anywhere that there's recreational kayakers, something that you could, that the kayakers do. So we just do it because we're on the water, so it's the most benefit to us. It's sort of like letting kayakers clean your riverway. So, is there a way that I can kind of give you some more information? And present, kind of get back with you on some information like that. It's relative, for the most part, the prices on, say, like one pole would probably be at most like $300, $300 to $400, depending on how big it is, and that would include bags. If you happen to buy a number more of them, the price goes down pretty well too. So the price gets discounts if you could be as much as 50% if you buy like 10 or 12 of them. So, long term, looking at maybe for $1,500, then your riverways will be cleaned up, self-serve for 10 or 15 years. So it's a really good, I think it's a pretty good use of money.
I was just thinking that since most of the creek area is in the park, if we,
Maybe we could partner with parks.
yes, and then they could maintain them and put together, get a plan together with them.
Okay. I can probably reach out to, I guess, the Darby Creek park manager.
Yeah.
That'd be right.
Mhm.
Okay.
His name is Jeff Hamilton.
Jeff Hamilton. Okay. That's good. Go through my other channel at the other park and have him reach out to it. So, for the word. That's great. I can help you with.
Because I think most, probably 3/4 of either one side or the other
Mhm.
in Pleasant Township is parkland.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I would think they would love this.
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, the response there has been pretty strong. So it's just a matter of maybe if they're organize the actual, groundbreaking, of it and whatnot. I guess I just, what do I
I
send
don't
it?
have a card
It's an email or something?
with me, but our phone numbers and our email information is on our website,
Okay,
pleasanttownship.com.
okay.
You just go there and look up trustees, we're all three on there.
Oh, okay. So, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Um. Would you like to go next?
Sure.
Discuss.
Yes. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, so I don't take up a lot of your time, because you guys have done this before. I'm just gonna go straight to what the suggestions from us is, and then whatever questions you may have, then I'll answer them.
Okay.
That'll work. So we went out to bid. We believe the 24-month is the best bid. Which, I believe Dynergy provided the best bid. You guys apparently have Ohio Power, which is, I believe, AP. And they provide a price of 46 times 5 from the 24. And then the Ohio Edison is cheaper. And they provided a 24-month. At 04470. And I'm not sure if you guys got the emails from Myra or Scott or got a chance to read
I
them.
didn't get a chance to read it, but I did, yes.
So when you look at these, if you go to the 36, and up here in the corner is where the money, I don't like how we do that. We stay home and make it hard to see. But you'll see,
Looking through and thinking, what am I looking at?
yeah. So, yeah, up in the left corner.
I stapled mine on the other end. I
I
printed it out.
probably shouldn't. What I'm gonna do is say, why don't we just move that to that?
I did it by accident.
But the reason for that is the price of 36 isn't substantially better, but there's, part of generation is capacity charges that get factored into generation costs, and not to bore you, but that's kind of a set by the PUC here, here's what capacity is gonna be, and it flows through. Well, they changed the formula. They've been working on it, and it's going to, the new formula for how they calculate that is going to happen, so nobody knows what that price is gonna be. Usually we know at least 2 years ahead of time what capacity is gonna be. And that will affect how we tell you what we should do, because if we know capacity is going down, then we say, hey, let's go short. If we know capacity is going up, we'll say, let's go longer, right? Because that's a function of that. Well, since you don't know that, it's kind of, if you go long, we go 3 months and capacity goes, we roll up a new formula, and capacity goes down, we're stuck in a price, and we can't, we got longer to go out to renegotiate to get better pricing because things could go down. If it goes up, what the fear is that they can do, and all the contracts have this, we did it once, and I don't know if you guys got affected or remember it, but there's a thing called change in law event. Okay, and what it basically says is if there's some change in law that puts additional burden on the utility, supply, they can pass that through. Now, in our contracts, we have it to where we have the ability to negotiate it. But the problem is it's still disruptive. It's very disruptive. The last time we went through this, pretty much anybody we had that was under a year, the suppliers just ate it. But everybody that was over that, they wanted to get the additional, fund. So we know this won't happen for about a year. So what we're wanting to do is stay at 2 years, because we don't want to go 3 and have the potential that they could come back and ask for more money. Because if you got 2 years left, they're not going to eat 2 years. But this way, the hope would be they'll eat it when we get to renegotiate, move forward. And if it goes down, we will run out and be able to then go take advantage of this new formula. So just for that uncertainty, again, it's risk management, and Scott comes from a place of risk management. That's what he did for the bank for all the years. And so he feels more comfortable. He thinks there's a lot more potential risk going along and everything, and now if they quote us 4.1 for 36, we'd probably be having a different conversation. Because then we'd have to look and say, well, how much could it really go up? We're better off if it was that, but since there's pennies different, for people for you, it's just not worth the risk. So that's what we're suggesting, and I did bring the contract for that because we felt it was definitely the best move forward. But if you guys have questions, I can answer them now.
I'm good with going with.
The rates actually, you guys must have a pretty good load factor in your community. You guys must not have a lot of ups and downs. You guys must be pretty even, because these prices are pretty good.
I guess I have a question. There's gonna be a solar farm possibly come into the township.
Mhm.
Is that gonna affect this price of electricity at all?
No, but in the future, if the renewables are mandated, we will see an effect. If all of a sudden you have to have a certain percentage renewables in all generation be required from a supplier standpoint, then that will flow through to us as well. And it also has an effect on gas. We've had extremely low energy rates. We just have. A lot of that goes to all the natural gas we have. Because when natural gas is under $3 a mega CCF or whatever, a lot of these plants burn the gas. But the downside of that, and that's the biggest user of the natural gas, when you say, okay, we're going to take 5% of that and make, now all of a sudden we're going to increase 5-10% into you guys have to get from renewables. You're taking a big chunk out of the natural gas supply chain, and then you'll see the natural gas rise too, because you're taking a big chunk. It affects supply demand there. So this contract, no, it's fixed. Your energy fixed. It shouldn't affect anything. In the future, who knows? It's what we're doing is using consolidated buying power in a through bid process, not a quasi bid process, a true bid process to ferret out those suppliers that are looking to add to their bank of business at any given time. So that's why it works, but it's going to follow, the energy markets wherever they go. Now, the utilities prices, just so you know, are going up. I believe it's AEP is going to go up to 503 or 506, one of the two. And then we think they'll have another, once that ends, they'll reset again. We're anticipating that one to be even hot, go up even more. The Ohio Edison is part of FES. The last I looked, I think they're going to 5.3. So the pricing what we have is, that's why I was saying you guys must have a really good load factor, because the pricing you have is really good, and it's going to look even better as through the summer as the utilities, fallback price there is going to raise. So what do we need is I need a motion to enter into a 2-year contract with Dynergy to supply electric generation to the Pleasant Township aggregation program. And then I will need it only has the one signature. So you need a second motion or included in this one to allow one of you to sign the contract.
I will go ahead and make that motion to enter into a 2-year agreement with Energy for our aggregation program and authorize the chair to execute the agreement.
I'll
That's a
second,
motion or a resolution.
Motion.
I'll second that.
And we have a motion on the floor
Second, it was seconded.
and the second, roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll sign it and then they'll have them sign it and then Myra from the office can email it back. You guys.
You point out where you want me to sign. I'll sign and then we'll make a copy of it. And then, you don't have to stick around.
That's signature. Just- Yes.
Speaking of energy and AEP,
Mhm.
I heard a rumor, I don't know how true it is, but that they've got a little building that they built up here on Northernville, but that thing right there.
Mhm.
There's a special building that was built right there, and it is like a nuclear generator.
I would, I mean, I can't speak to that. I don't know. One copy of this.
We need a copy of the
The
whole
whole
thing.
thing,
This one.
yes.
Yes, I'm just.
We've got, we need a copy of it all.
Put it in order. I would think that that would probably, I mean, I don't know. I can't answer that.
And it says like a nuclear mini.
I would think that that would be kind of highly unlikely because they have to hold hearings and stuff.
Yeah,
And, you know, and you start talking any type of community, I would think.
yeah, but I mean, the building was just kind of put under tarps and they built this whole thing like in secrecy. And there it is when they unveil it. And it's
Well,
like,
did they do it around the same time they were building with the plant?
none of that plant's been there for quite a while, but
Yeah, I don't know. We recently, I mean, we're doing the Columbus's aggregation program. Been keeping Scott really busy. That's interesting. But theirs is tied into solar.
Yeah,
Yeah, AEP's building a massive down south, massive solar field. You know, it gets pretty complicated. There's one group in Ohio selling, you know, some of these counties on like 20-year deals, kind of some 20-year deals. I just think that's crazy. How do you know that it's not gonna get more efficient down the road? You're stuck, you know, that's crazy. I don't know.
but what question, where they plan on putting the solar, fuel that is? Solar,
You basically from Alpine Road to Johnson, go across Johnson,
wow,
from Johnson to Crop Road. Like it's a narrow, you know, it's not,
2,500 acres.
I bet you that's it. I bet you that's the one, that's the one that AEP's building.
2,500 acre solar farm.
it's called Pleasant Prairie Solar Energy something. So it's gonna be across Alkire Road and go clear to Broad Street and past that. Some of it's going to be in Madison County.
So who's gonna benefit from all the solar? Is it just gonna be the Prairie and Pleasant or?
No, it goes, when they collect the energy, it will go to a substation thing on Cole Road and then be distributed wherever that electric goes out of Cole Road.
They sell that, almost like buying shares.
Yeah.
And so different people they purchase it. I mean, it also goes on the grid, but then so it gets pretty complicated in how that stuff works.
Is it
but
like
that's-
these companies purchase?
It's like you can go on, like you can go, well, see what they do, it's like, look, like. They'll get companies to commit, like with Columbus, okay, we get them to commit to using this much power. And that's what they use then to fund that building stuff. So they've already got a certain amount sold, then they got a certain amount that is available for the. That's available for just for the market. Now what's interesting, I don't know if you've read this, but like out in Texas or with some of these massive places like this is Tesla is building power battery plants right next to them, right? Because you can't store, thank you. You can't store energy, right? You know, and so the deal there is what they're doing with that is really cool. Is that way any you get a super hot day and if they're not moving, it charges all these batteries. So that then if you have a weather event or something where their solar's not out, you know, creating the output, then they can pull off, you know, these batteries as storage. I guess it's just I mean, you're just talking monstrous size and dollars and amounts. But apparently they come up with some batteries and I know that they've been putting those next to, I don't think this one's going to have one. But some of these, it's interesting. I mean, there's a big push to get there. You know, there's a big push to say we want to be green, we want to go green, and trying to make it work is interesting. I think it's going to get more interesting.
And speaking of City of Columbus, their maintenance building on Groves Road, their whole roof is nothing but solar panels. Top right there. Yeah. Maintenance building.
When I asked him how large this project was, and he told me 55 acres in our township. When we went to that meeting, I found out they don't talk acres. I was talking acres. They were talking megahertz or something.
Yeah,
What's happening?
I don't really know.
it's like
It's not acres.
it's like it's like a
The
kilowatt is what you get. It's
Huh.
like and then a mega kilowatt's like 1,000 kilowatts. And then you go, it's just massive. I mean, you get into, yeah, that, what that output is, which is, and it's really amazing here in Ohio, where, you know, we're not like Texas or Florida or Georgia. We don't have the amount of sunlight that they do down there. You know, so when you start looking at it, it's like, wow.
Huh.
Now, I have clients up near the lake, up in like Sandusky County. And they got stopped, but they were looking at fighting wind farms. They were putting some wind farm, and it was like running from Sandusky County through Seneca County, I think into the next county. And it was some venture capitalist firm or something was behind it. And the guy was out in New York, but he came out of Cleveland. They had an office in Cleveland. So I was just, you know, I was talking to him and I was like, well, what's the deal? He said 150 feet up. What's that? Because there's a, you know, he said, we don't care about the wind on the ground. We care about what is up there. And he said, up there, there's like this tunnel that comes through. It's just a constant, you know, the way the weather rolls in here, I guess, just this constant blast of air that comes through, and that they want to get these windmills up in there to catch that power. But it's just, yeah, it's interesting. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a wind farm up there north of Kenton, between Kenton and Ada. There's a wind farm up there.
I mean, it's always out in California not that long ago. And they came back, must have come over to New Mexico or Arizona or something. And he goes, looking out the window, he said, these solar fields were so big, you could see them from a plane. They're just,
I
So
saw those when
massive.
I was out there.
what's that?
I saw that.
Did you? He
We
said,
drove through it. It's like you felt like you were in a sci-fi movie. Like the
Yeah.
car was so little and here's on both sides of you,
Yeah,
field and field and field of those.
yeah. The only, I mean, I haven't seen anything like that. The only thing I know, like, I go over to a couple places over in Indiana. And not very far, once you cross the Indiana-Ohio border on 70, they've got them off the highway there, but they're not nearly to that scale at all. But he said, no, he said, he said, you have to see it to believe it. He said, they're so massive. So, I kind of think it'll be what's the next technology? You know, what will be, what efficiencies are they gonna come up with next? To really get there, you know? I just don't think you're gonna get away from fossil fuels just based on what we have right now. I think it helps, but it's interesting. Now, we can do green as part of these things. But what we're doing right now, we're kind of feeling in a few different areas to see what when given the option between one or the other, what do communities do? Now, if we find out that that is a bigger percentage, then that's probably something that you'll see us do in the future for you, is saying, hey, you might want to consider just putting this in here as an option. So basically, it's what we did here will be the opt-in thing. But as part of that, then people that are going into the program, if they so choose, they could jump over. It costs us a little bit more, but they could jump over and take advantage of renewable. And so we're kind of looking at that right now. Sure, if that comes out to be something that we say, hey, this, you know, we're surprised that 10% of the people are doing this in these things, that might be something you want to do. We kind of always kind of felt from this is, you know, the majority of the people want the best price. You know, and it's kind of difficult as a township to walk that line for, you know, something that 20 people might use. They can do that on their own, you know. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you all.
Thank you. We've got that big thing taken off our list.
There you go. I told Scott, I said, you know, you gotta quit sending me down and they're gonna tell you they want me to come and send you from.
You can tell him that.
You know, every chance I get. We'll see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we'll move on to departments. Deputy Carter comes on the fourth Tuesdays. So we will move on. I don't have anything to report from him. So we'll move on to road department. Robert?
Good evening, everybody. We've been going around seeding old projects, tile jobs that we finished up last year, trying to get grass seed sowed on them. Also trying to get some grass going on our new wall over at the cemetery there. Still, we're jumping back and forth between jobs depending on the weather. We're still putting down berm along the edge of the roads. We've started mowing cemeteries for the season. We've been doing some equipment maintenance. We put brand new blades on the road mower, and I had to replace a caliper on the F450. It was locked up and getting hot. I finished up the ODOT sign grant, got it turned in to submitted today. Between us and Harrisburg, if we get approved for it, it'll be $6,014.27 of money towards signs. Then we had 2 burials. I noticed before I came back or up here, you had an email with Bill Dawson. So yeah, I would look forward to having something over there like that. So,
He said he will get with you.
okay, great.
He had some big ideas and
More.
Anxious to get started on them. And he asked he had a list of things. Can we do the dedication for the the bench, the gate or the arch,
Mhm.
and a couple other things. And I said, we can do them all.
Yes.
So he's excited about that. And while we're speaking of that, chief,
Yes, ma'am.
can we get back on track for Oak Grove for Memorial Day?
Already in process.
And that's at 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, that'll be 1 o'clock.
Okay, because I told Bill we have that one at 1, so if he wants to do it before, after, we didn't care, whatever he would like to.
Mr. Schmitz from the VFW called last week or week before. I put him in touch with Lieutenant Johnson, who's going to now be handling the honor guard
Okay.
in lieu of Lieutenant Moore's retirement. So they should be talking. He was going to be getting Mr. Schmitz from the VFW to be getting in touch with the Boy Scouts to gauge their level of interest in being more and more involved, because they're having some difficulty with membership and things like that as those members continue to age, and they're not, unfortunately, from what he told me, they're not recruiting new members. Seems like the veterans that are coming out now don't have an interest in the traditional VFW that World War II and the Vietnam guys had. So, they're looking for the Boy Scouts and us to kind of start taking more and more of that torch and working on it. So I did talk to Chaplain Baker today about him being involved in it as well. He was
Great.
So unfortunately, I won't be here. I'll be on vacation that week. I apologize. When I scheduled our Myrtle Beach condo, I just told the guy, he's a good friend of mine, hey, this is the date of their school. Give me the next week. I never looked at the calendar, so I apologize for that. But Chaplain Baker agreed to step in and handle my part of it, so I think that would be great. He's able to take care of that speaking part that I have. So,
Would you also mention to him about Ebenezer or something?
yes, I will discuss that with
You
him.
know,
And Robert to get with Lieutenant Johnson, Jeremy, and kind of discuss, what we're gonna do there when you guys get some concrete plans, let them know. And
maybe we can,
I'm sure we can just go
Pastor
one to the
Larry.
other and do whatever we need to do. So,
Yes.
or if you want to do something before, that's fine too.
Pastor Larry. can
But yeah, that's all.
Bill and come up with something.
Yeah, Chaplain Baker's generally on Tuesdays. I think he's gonna start coming back on a regular basis again now that the COVID thing's starting to wind back down. I basically told him he wasn't allowed to visit. I told him to stay away. With our little outbreak we had here, so I don't think he was real happy about it, but I didn't figure his wife would be very thrilled. But anyway, you guys can work all that out, so.
Thank you. Another big thing, we're early on working on things. Okay, and the mosquito thing. Let's see, what was that? They're having a work group. And she sent an email yesterday. And I saw your name on that. And she said, anyone that wanted to be part of the work group could respond to that email and indicate your interest, and then they would send out an email to everybody to pick a time that would work for everybody. And it says for monthly meetings. I don't know if you've read that, but they said at the last one that the majority were in favor of extending with Clark, who does it now, for I think it was 2 more years, with a 1.5% increase in price each year. And they said everyone seemed to be on board to do that. I would be in favor of that too. Unless you have reason not to, so you'll be the one.
Yeah,
Presenting.
usually what I get is just their notifications saying they're wanting to fold. And if we have any conflicts with that for the night they're doing it, and I just usually yes or no, depending on if there's any community events going on
Mhm.
or stuff like that, so.
Well, this is about their, because this year is the final year for the 3-year contract with Clark. We are reconvening the mosquito work group with representatives from your cities, villages, and townships, so you'll be the representative to decide the future direction of the program. Initially, the initial polling during the meetings indicates a large majority of our jurisdictions support extending the contract with Clark for years 4 and 5 with a 1.5% increase in price each year. So if you get part of that work group,
I'll look over that email. a little later.
I'll look at it again to make sure your name was on it, so you get that, and then. Because I believe Jeff used to go to those. I went with him once or twice. And they're doing a tick surveillance.
I did, yeah, I just glanced over a bunch of that.
So you probably saw the same one I did.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Extending it for 2 more years?
Good with that.
Okay, anything else?
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We will move on to the fire department, chief.
For the month of March, we ended up with 85 runs. I think we're like 285 for the year, 287, something like that, through the end of March. We've had I think about 38 now. 36 was as of 10 o'clock this morning. We've had a couple today, so. We had the foam level gauge transducer was replaced under warranty on engine 1. Engine 2, the truck came back on the Friday after our inspection, much to our surprise. It wasn't due back till the first week in April, and it just showed up, so. I did go through my emails from the day before, and he did indicate that the truck was leaving that day, but it was kind of a surprise it got here so early, so. We are in the process of putting it back in service. We've got water and hose and whatnot on it. We're in the process of getting tool mounts off the other engine and moving them back over to this truck and things like that. So that truck, if you remember, it had been completely stripped of everything, so we've got a little bit of work to do to get it, but if we need it, we can use it, so. Hose and water in it, we can put tools and stuff on it as we need them, so. The cost was just over the bill was turned into the fiscal officer this time, it was just over 71,000 total, so. It was about 9,000 less than we allocated and probably a little bit less expensive than we expected, so we're pretty pleased with that. We had the brakes done on Medic 2. That's really all the maintenance we've had over the last couple of weeks. We have 1 member still out from the COVID issues we had. And then I just wanted to mention, before I get into my request for the evening, that this is Emergency Telecommunicators Week. So we wanted to just kind of publicly thank our dispatchers. Nancy, I know you spent a lot of time in the dispatch world. Ed dealt with dispatchers for a long time. We just this is kind of the week we kind of publicly, we thank them every day, but this is the week they get recognized and whatnot. We sent over some goodies to Grove City yesterday, and I plan on dropping lunch off on Friday for them. So that's kind of been my tradition since I came here, was to drop lunch off for them. So we'll be kind of recognizing the hardworking men and women at Grove City PD and the dispatch and communications room. They do a fantastic job for us. So we're very pleased to have them. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Tougher every day.
Yep.
To do that job.
So, so I attached a list of items that I'd like to have placed on Gov Deals. It is attached to your notes here. It was also attached to your email this afternoon or this morning when I sent it. These are basically surplus items we've had around the station. A lot of it came from when we did the floors. We cleaned up filing cabinets, and we cleaned up some of the old equipment that was in here, some of the old EMS equipment that we've replaced through the COVID funds. So that basically takes care of the bulk of the list that's on here. I would ask for a resolution declaring these items as surplus and no longer of use to the township. These items will be placed on gov deals for public sale. Any items not sold will be disposed of as having no value.
I will make resolution 29 to put those 21 items on gov deals. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
Yes.
Second request I have is a resolution to accept the resignation of part-time firefighter Cole Howard, effective May 1st. Cole is currently one of the younger part-time guys we've had. He's working several jobs and he's currently enrolled in medic school. And essentially what it boils down to is he just doesn't have time to commit to all of them. So rather than becoming a kind of a person on a roster that we don't see, he'd rather resign now and potentially come back after his medic school's over. So I'd ask the board to approve a resolution to accept his resignation.
I'll make resolution 30 to accept the resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Cole Howard.
I'll second.
Roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
I'd also ask the board for a resolution to hire Joshua Krebs as a part-time firefighter EMT pending successful completion of a pre-employment drug screen and driving abstract.
I'll make resolution 31 to hire Joshua Krebs as a part-time firefighter EMT pending successful completion of a pre-employment drug screen and driving abstract.
I'll second that.
Roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
Yes.
I would ask the board for a resolution to hire Austin Foltz as a part-time firefighter EMT pending the successful completion of a pre-employment drug screen and a driving abstract.
I'll make resolution 32 to hire Austin Foltz as a part-time firefighter EMT pending the successful completion of a pre-employment drug screen and driving abstract. That's the second. Roll call, trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter, yes. Trustee Good.
Yes.
And I've seen you have on the agenda my request for an executive session. I would appreciate that after the normal business.
Okay.
Current coronavirus update, we have 38,812 active cases in the state of Ohio. 4,935 of them are in Franklin County, which is about 13% of the state total. Currently, Ohio sits at 183.7 cases per 100,000, and Franklin County is at 217.9 cases, and we are back on the rise again. So hopefully it doesn't keep rising and we can get this thing leveled off and going back in the right direction. But where we're at. So unless you guys have anything for me, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Old business. Do we have any old business? New business. I think we've taken care of all our new business. Did you see the emails from OTA for their several one-day virtual seminars in April and May? Anything else? Okay. So I think in our roll call, I forgot to mention that Paula is absent due to an illness in her family. So we do not have any clerk updates. Shane, did you have anything?
Well, I talked to Robert earlier about this, but might as well bring it to your attention also. They are planning on building a house on Avon Drive between Glen Drive and Maple. It was all woods. No house has been there before, at least in the last 22 years I've been there. And he says he does not have to hook into the sewer system, that he's allowed to have a septic tank. Because the county will not let him tap into the sewer for some reason. He don't have any permits yet, but he's got the hillside pretty much cleared off. But he don't have any permits just yet, but
Isn't that part of the building permit and stuff to hook into the system?
well,
I'd have to check. I mean, this is the first I've heard of this tonight. When you
Yeah.
brought it up. I've got it written down to take a look at it tomorrow. But I just don't understand not tying into the sewer system.
I don't think it's optional.
I didn't.
I didn't think it was either. That was the whole purpose of
That is.
yeah, he said
to
that
get rid of
he
this.
can't tap into it because it's cross property lines one way or the other to get to it because it doesn't run where his previous house is going to be built. Now, he's a builder building this house for sale. He's not the person living there. But yeah,
I can't imagine it's not part of the permit.
I can check with the sanitary
Yeah,
engineers
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
They're aware
Just
of
to
it.
make sure.
but yeah, Robert gave you the phone
Does
number.
that give us a report back next meeting?
But yeah, Robert gave me the phone number to call and check on that too. Yeah, he's getting away with that.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, I want to say, well, that's when Jeff was still here, but when the Fennels started on that one, we were made aware of it by zoning.
Yeah.
I think Paul Eberts back then got a hold of Jeff and let him know about what was going on there. So
Yeah, but he said he's gotta go apply for his permit and stuff, and I was like, you're kind of clearing the woods a little early, aren't you? Yeah. But yeah, he's a special kind of variance, let's put it that way.
Well, thank you, Robert. I'll look into that.
Yeah, I said, I talked to him earlier, so he gave me the phone number to call and get information on it also.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our executive session. If no one has anything else. I will move to go into executive session according to the Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G1, for the purpose of discussing fire personnel matters. Do I have a second?
Second that,
Roll call, trustee Sheets,
yes.
trustee Hunter, yes, trustee Good.
Yes.
And you're recording.
Under the Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G, I move to come out of executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter, yes, trustee Good.
Yes.
I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that,
Roll call, trustee Sheets,
yes.
trustee Hunter, yes, trustee Good.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 8:20.
Who is